What if I told you that the difference between a video with 10 views and 10,000 views often comes down to a single image that's barely larger than a postage stamp? That thumbnail you clicked on before watching this video, that tiny image, is the only reason you're here right now. And if you think about it, you didn't click because you carefully analyzed it. You clicked because something about it triggered curiosity, tension, or emotion almost instantly. Here's the uncomfortable truth most creators don't want to admit. If people don't click, the algorithm never even gets the chance to test your content. It doesn't matter how good your editing is. It doesn't matter how strong your script is. If the click doesn't happen, the rest of the video might as well not exist. So if you've ever uploaded what you genuinely believed was a great video, watched it stall at double-digit views, and blamed the niche, the timing, or YouTube's saturation, this is probably why. In this video, I'm going to break down why thumbnail strategy has changed, the exact AI-powered workflow I now use to create thumbnails faster and smarter, the tools that helped increase my click-through rate, and how you can implement this entire system without being a designer. And stay until the end, because I'm going to explain why fixing thumbnails alone can sometimes outperform improving your editing, scripting, or even your content quality, especially if you're a smaller channel. Now that you understand why thumbnails control everything, let's talk about why the old way of designing them just doesn't work anymore. The thumbnail game has changed dramatically in the last year and a half. Most creators still approach thumbnails by asking one simple question: does this look good? But winning creators ask a different question entirely. Would someone click this in half a second while scrolling? That shift might sound small, but it changes everything. Every single minute, hundreds of hours of video content are uploaded to YouTube. That means your thumbnail isn't just competing against creators in your niche. It's competing against shorts, Netflix clips, breaking news, podcasts, and trending topics, all fighting for the same limited attention. And here's the key. Viewers decide whether to click in milliseconds. Not seconds. Milliseconds. That means your thumbnail isn't being evaluated logically, it's being judged emotionally and instantly. This is where AI becomes extremely powerful. The algorithm doesn't prefer certain creators. It prefers responses. It measures clicks, watch time, and engagement signals. And the thumbnail is the front door to all of that. If the door doesn't open, the house doesn't matter. So if the game has changed, the real question becomes this: what actually makes someone click in the first place? Here's the secret most small creators miss. Thumbnail design isn't really about beauty or artistic creativity. It's about triggering curiosity, creating emotional tension, and introducing an information gap that can only be resolved by clicking. Humans don't click logically. They click emotionally. Modern AI thumbnail tools are trained on massive amounts of performance data. They analyze millions of thumbnails across different niches and detect patterns that consistently drive higher click-through rates. They recognize things like contrast levels, color psychology, facial expression intensity, text density, framing balance, and how thumbnails visually stand out against YouTube's white interface. And here's what makes this different from manual design. AI doesn't guess. It doesn't rely on your opinion or my opinion. It averages millions of micro-decisions made by real viewers and distills that into repeatable patterns. Instead of saying, "I think this looks good," you're building from what is already proven to generate clicks at scale. That's a massive advantage, especially for small creators who don't have time to manually test dozens of variations. Understanding the psychology is powerful, but none of that matters unless you can turn it into a repeatable system. So let me show you exactly how I implement this step by step. Now let's get practical, because this is the part that actually moves the needle. Here's my exact workflow. Step 1. Research visual demand. Before I design anything, I open TubeMagic. And I'm not just looking at keywords. I'm studying visual demand. I analyze the top videos ranking for my topic, and I pay attention to what their thumbnails are doing. Are they using close-up facial expressions? minimal text, high contrast colors, arrows, before and after imagery, shock value, authority positioning. This tells me what viewers are already responding to in that specific topic area. Not what I personally prefer, what is already validated by the market. That clarity alone prevents wasted effort. Step 2. Generate multiple AI concepts. Next, I use an AI thumbnail generator or concept generator to create variations. The goal here is not perfection, it's speed and variation. Instead of designing one thumbnail and hoping it works, I generate multiple angles based on different emotional triggers. One version might emphasize curiosity, another might lean into urgency, another might position authority, another might focus on dramatic contrast or transformation. Within minutes, I have several optimized starting points instead of staring at a blank canvas. This removes creative paralysis completely. Step 3. Refine in Canva. After selecting the strongest concept, I refine it inside Canva. And this is important. Canva is not just a beginner design tool anymore, it's an execution layer. Here's what I adjust. I increase contrast to make the subject pop. I simplify text so it's readable instantly. I adjust saturation to avoid blending into YouTube's interface. I remove visual clutter that distracts from the core message. And here's my personal rule. If the thumbnail isn't clear at a small size, it fails. This refinement stage usually takes less than 15 minutes. Step 4. Upload and monitor early CTR. Once uploaded, the process isn't over. This is where most creators stop too early. I monitor the first few hours carefully. I look at click-through rate relative to my channel average. I pay attention to impressions. I check early retention to make sure the thumbnail isn't misleading. If the click-through rate is underperforming, I don't panic. I simply swap in another AI-generated variation. Testing becomes part of the system instead of an afterthought. And this is where AI gives you leverage. Testing manually is slow and exhausting. AI makes testing fast and repeatable. Let me give you a quick real example so you can see how this plays out in practice. I had a video where the original thumbnail was clean, minimal, and honestly, pretty nice looking. But the click-through rate was hovering around 3.8%, which for my channel was underperforming. The impressions were there, YouTube was testing it, but viewers weren't clicking at the rate they should have been. Instead of redesigning from scratch, I generated 3 AI variations based on different emotional angles. One leaned harder into contrast with bold color separation. One introduced more tension in the wording, and one simplified everything down to fewer words with stronger visual hierarchy. I swapped in the highest contrast version first. Within the next 48 hours, the click-through rate jumped to 5.9%. That single adjustment increased overall impressions because YouTube detected stronger response signals. The content didn't change. The editing didn't change. The title didn't change. Only the packaging changed. That's when it really clicked for me. Thumbnails aren't just decoration. They're leverage. When you improve response rate even slightly, the algorithm compounds that improvement by showing the video to more people. And when that cycle starts, growth feels completely different. This is why I don't treat thumbnails as a one-and-done decision anymore. I treat them as variables inside a system. If the performance isn't where I want it, I adjust the variable and test again. AI just makes that loop fast enough to actually execute consistently. Now here's where most creators stop. And this is also where the real leverage begins. Most small creators don't test thumbnails because it feels overwhelming. But when you can generate optimized variations quickly, testing becomes normal behavior. And here's something powerful that many creators overlook. You can swap thumbnails on older videos. If you have videos sitting at low impressions, improving the packaging can revive them without filming anything new. No new editing. No new scripting. Just better positioning. That alone can unlock hidden views inside your existing library. And once you see that happen once, you'll never ignore thumbnails again. At this point, you might be thinking this sounds powerful. but you probably have a few concerns. So let's address those directly and see what you might be thinking. Won't AI thumbnails look generic? They only look generic if you give generic direction. AI is a tool. It responds to clarity. When you specify your audience, your emotional angle, the tension of the topic, and your brand preferences, the output becomes extremely targeted. Another concern is manipulation. But this isn't about tricking people. It's about communicating value clearly and quickly. If someone clicks and watches, that means the thumbnail aligned with the content. If they click and leave immediately, that's feedback. You refine and improve. That's not manipulation, that's optimization. And this next part is the mindset shift that changed everything for me. Here's the mindset shift that changed everything for me. If your video doesn't get clicks, YouTube never gathers enough data to judge its quality. It never reaches enough people to test properly. That means improving thumbnails can sometimes outperform improving your editing or scripting in the short term, because you fix the gate. Once the gate opens, your content finally has a chance to perform. This is why some channels appear to suddenly blow up. Their content didn't drastically change. Their packaging did. AI simply gives smaller creators access to the same level of testing power that large teams have. Speed combined with feedback equals leverage. Now, let's zoom out for a second and look at where this is all heading. AI thumbnail tools are evolving quickly. We're already seeing early versions of predictive performance modeling, real-time A/B analysis concepts, and video-to-thumbnail extraction systems that detect the most emotionally engaging frames. Early adopters always benefit during technology shifts like this. But here's the important part. Tools don't replace thinking. They accelerate it. The creators who understand psychology and testing will still win. AI just gives them better execution speed. So, if we bring everything together, here's what this really means for you. Your thumbnail is not decoration. It's not an afterthought. It's not something you throw together in 5 minutes. It's a decision trigger. It's the first micro commitment in your funnel. And in a platform where billions of videos compete for attention, controlling that first decision matters more than most creators realize. Switching to AI-powered thumbnails didn't magically make my channel better. It removed guesswork. And when you remove guesswork, improvement becomes predictable. That's how click-through rates skyrocket. Not by luck, by systems. And if you're serious about growing on YouTube, this is where you take action. If this changed the way you think about thumbnails, hit the like button so YouTube pushes this to more creators who need it. And subscribe, because in the next video, I'm breaking down how I turned YouTube into a 5-figure side hustle without ever turning on a camera. And it connects directly to everything we just covered here. Fix the click, then scale the system. See you there.